Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Fernandez. Thank you for tuning in to my Organizational Communications Ethics Inquiry Project. For my topic, I chose to explore how the DNC lost its way and lost the 2016 election. So let's get started. So first off, this is my topic. My study focused on the role that the Democratic National Committee played in the election of Donald Trump through an examination of the fundamental flaws in the organization throughout the 2016 election cycle. I examined the organization's actions in 2016 through the lens of organizational communications ethics and business and professional communications ethics. Delving into the DNC's issues through the lens of organizational communications and business and professional communications ethics allowed for a layered study of how internal turmoil and lack of direction can go unchecked and hinder an entire organization's growth and impact. But first, let's get a little background. In 2016, the world watched as the United States elected Donald J. Trump to the highest office in the land. The days, weeks, and months that followed that decision were filled with hours worth of commentary, blaming, discussions, and theories of why and how our nation had gotten to this point. A lot of people blamed the other candidate, many blamed it on a lack of empathy on the other side, and others blamed it as just a general desire of the nation for change. In this case study I focused on a different part of the national uproar. My study focused on the role that the Democratic National Committee played in the election and through an examination of the fundamental flaws in the organization throughout the 2016 election. So, in the years leading up to the 2016 election, they found the DNC in the midst of a massive identity crisis. The time following Barack Obama's historic win had been mostly positive for the DNC. With a well-liked president of their party in power, they seemed full of direction and hope. But as Obama's presidency came to an end, it became obvious that the party lacked a sense of direction. The party appeared in complete disarray by the time the election arrived, and with no clear path, message, or direction, the party could not overcome the turmoil, and its chaos served as a boost to Donald Trump's campaign. So these were some of my findings. On the eve of the convention, the party underwent a wave of hacked emails that hit the internet and immediately spilled over into every news cycle, every political commentary, and they dominated the world's attention for months after. The DNC's hacked emails revealed a broken party, one which was attempting to smear one candidate while prematurely crowning the other. This led to deep unrest within the DNC's constituents, many of which believed that Senator Sanders was not given a fair shot. The emails led to the resignation of the chairman of the committee and a general upheaval within the party. Within days after the chairman stepped down, Donna Brazile was elected as interim chairman, and this led to even bigger issues when it was discovered that Brazile had given debate questions to the Clinton campaign while she worked for CNN. When Brazile stepped in, she reports that she was shocked to find that the DNC was in deep debt following 2 Obama campaigns and a drop in fundraising. Brazile outlined this in her book, in which she released in 2017, called Hacks. She goes on to state that with the party nearly $22 million in debt, their main focus became funds. And in search of funds, this led to a violation of their ethics by allowing Clinton to fund them before she received the nomination. This intertwined nature of the Clinton campaign with the DNC, long before the nomination, it would be an issue that haunted both organizations through the remainder of the election. The two were never able to fully operate on their own, and one's downfall directly affected the other. Implications. Our text states that as the demands of a given historical moment shift, an organization must find within itself the resources with which to respond to historical changes and demands. beginning with reflection upon what has been and is valued in an organization. By losing sight of what the party valued, they lost their grounding as a dwelling place, and they lost their grounding practices. The party ceased to have a sense of the good as directed by their values, and this led to an overall lack of direction. By aligning with the Clinton campaign early on, the DNC made clear that finances were the driving force behind their actions, and therefore their version of the good became blurred, replacing the good with their need for financial rescuing. They violated the ethics and alienated their voters. When applying the lens of both organization and institution ethics, along with business and professional communication ethics to the chaos within the DNC, the loss of the election seems inevitable. Our text states that for an organization or a business to grow, they must possess clarity of direction and the courage to pivot and change direction if and when necessary. By completely ignoring this principle, the DNC sealed their fate and found themselves stunned when election night brought their worst nightmare to life, a Donald Trump presidency. The weeks leading up to the election were spent repeating the same violations, applying old techniques to new issues, waiting for Donald Trump to self-destruct. By continuing to hope that their strategy would work, but never adjusting their direction, the party continued to violate all of these communications ethics rules. So one might ask, how does a party avoid this again? How do they move on from this and gear up for an election in 4 years? So in my findings, to establish change within the DNC, there would have to be a party-wide acceptance that comfort does not equate success, and that as the world progresses, so must the values that a party sets their direction around. Our text states that the notion of change tempers the assumption that any direction can remain unexamined and unchanged forever. Public accountability assists both internal and external constituents with ongoing learning about the changing demands. By opening up their communications as an organization, the DNC would invite more public scrutiny because with accountability obviously comes more responsibility. But by establishing a common sense of the good, the organization could also recalibrate their direction and once again embrace the values that being a Democrat used to be associated with. This would open the doors of the party to people who felt alienated or taken for granted in the last election, such as young voters, minority voters, and voters that cared about specific principles, such as health care, equal rights, and equal pay. Some ways to implement this would be to harness the power of grassroots events once again, such as the Obamas did in what is now the famous Obama Coalition. By tapping into volunteers and grassroots energy, the Obamas were able to mobilize a movement which has been really difficult for the Democrats to recreate. To do this, they could implement town hall meetings, public forums. They could also be more aggressive about presence on college campuses, and they could also return to their roots with social programs, reigniting the flame for young people and people of all ages, races, and ethnicities to feel included in the party and to feel like they're working towards a common goal. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope that this better explains my paper and that you all had a great semester. Thank you so much.